Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and today I would like to talk about Elite Dangerous. So this is a title that has been really surprising me this past week because, to be completely honest, when I first requested a code for Elite Dangerous, it was more so out of curiosity than anything, because I was like, I'm late to the party. I'm probably going to get into this, and, I'm just going to check it out because I wanted to see what all the fuss was about back when it released on the PC, and probably going to play it around for a little bit, and then I'm going to move on. Those were my initial thoughts. But as it turns out, I just can't seem to move on because this past couple of weeks, I must have clocked in something close to like 20 hours on Elite Dangerous or something of that nature. And I know a lot of you more, elite players on Elite Dangerous, the guys are going to say, oh my god, 20 hours, it's nothing. You've barely scratched the surface. I'm well aware that I've barely scratched the surface, but it just continues to surprise me. Like, the more I explore, the more I get more credits to upgrade my ship and discover the different missions that I can do and how reputations work and all of these other things, which are still just the very basic aspects of the game, the more I want to spend time in that universe, which is surprising because I've never been someone to spend that much time with like flight simulators or even space games all that much apart, potentially from StarCraft, which is more of an RTS type of deal, even though I am very much a huge fan of Star Wars and even to Star Trek of some degree. But, I've never found myself actually this immersed into a game of this particular nature, and I just wanted to create a video and talk about my experiences with the game so far. So last time, if you guys remember, we were piloting the space taxi, as my friend Sidestrafe called it. And that ship was just, I was mostly using it to ferry goods around so that I could like get some coin together in order to upgrade to the next ship. And I told you guys the next ship I wanted to get was going to be the keelback, which the gameplay that you guys are watching right now in the video should be gameplay of me in the keelback. And the keelback is it's like the first real ship that I kind of got in Elite Dangerous. And I got to be completely honest, I'm extremely attached to this ship. Like, I don't want to change to a different ship because I like the size of this ship and I like the versatility that it provides. Because like with the keelback, I'm able to have the hangar for fighters, which is something I told you guys that I wanted to do. And I've been playing around with that and the different things you can do. You can actually fly the fighter yourself, which is something I didn't know. Not that I do the flying myself, because like flying fighters and all that stuff, I'm better with the big bulky ships, to be completely honest. But I have become considerably better at dogfighting in Elite Dangerous, which is something that I was very bad the first couple of times that I played the game. As a matter of fact, I was beginning to not enjoy the game when I first played it because I was obsessing over the fact that I couldn't perform in the combat tutorials, and it was really frustrating me. But then I realized that even though combat is not something that was my main interest in Elite Dangerous, it has begun to grow on me, getting into a little bit of dogfighting and messing around, particularly with my fighter. It's been so much fun. The very first time that I deployed my fighter to engage an enemy, I was blown away because like I had enough credits, so I just bought like the highest pilot you could have, which is the expert. And I put her, which was a female pilot. I put her on the fighter, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna get into a little bit of a fight here. Just check this out. And I deployed the fighter, and the fighter destroyed the other ship like in seconds. I was like, what? What the hell just happened? I barely even had time to take a couple of shots. Damn thing just exploded in front of me. So that was a lot of fun, and that's when I kind of like really started getting into customizing the keelback. And the keelback, mostly I think the missions that have done me the most credits have been missions that involve the ferrying of passengers or the transport of passengers. So I've been kind of going around buying a couple of parts to improve my ability to transport people to different systems. Like, I have the best frame shift, at least I think it's the best. I'm assuming A class I'm assuming 5A is the best. I think it's 5A, actually. It might be 3A, 4A. I don't know, but it's like, for the slot of frame shift drive, I bought the best one I possibly could, which is ridiculously overpriced. That was like 1.6 million credits or something. But it's like, I wanted to be able to do the biggest jumps possible so that I can go anywhere I want, as fast as I want, on my keelback. So I got the best possible frame shift drive. Then I started buying a couple of passenger cabins. I've started out with the economy one because it seems that most missions that you can get are economy, but I've since then bought business class ones as well as first class passenger cabins, and these unlock different missions for you to ferry passengers around. As a matter of fact, the very first passenger that I took, which is, it's always interesting. I don't know, if, for those of you that have played Elite Dangerous, I'd actually like to hear from you guys on the comment section as well. It's like, I think it's always interesting when you do your first mission of a certain type, because you don't necessarily know what exactly the mission entails, right? You're like, okay, this mission tells me that I have to go here, but what happens now? So I'm looking at the missions and I'm like, okay, there's this mission that's like 1 point something million, and I have to take this person to 3 spots. How hard could it be? I mean, I didn't even check how many light years away these things were, because I'm an idiot. I mean, at the time, it was just the first time that I was doing this mission, right? So I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just looking at those credits with friggin' dollar signs in my eyes and stuff, just like cha-ching. And I was like, oh man, we're going to be rolling in the dough. So first of all, I picked this person up, and only then, only after I accepted the mission, because there was so much money, I was like, just accept this mission. Only after that, I actually started reading over it, and then I was like, wait a minute. Take criminal mastermind on a sightseeing tour. I was like, what? So the first passenger I put on my ship is a criminal mastermind? This is some messed up stuff, but it was really cool. So then I started looking at the locations that I have to go to, and then I made a mistake, because sometimes when you're plotting your course throughout different sections of the galaxy, right? When you're plotting your course, sometimes a star will be too close to another star, so instead of the galaxy map putting you on the star that you want, it might automatically lock on to a nearby star. So then first there was that, then I couldn't find the place he wanted to go to, but then eventually I started figuring that out. And I was like, okay, so we're going here, and then I go there, and then it's like, okay, now we have 2 more places to go. And that's when I started noticing, wait a minute, those things over there, that's the distance. And this next place is like over 100 light years away. I'm like, oh my God. Even though I have the best frame shift drives and all this other stuff, 100 light years is still like close to 10 jumps. I mean, actually, it's a lot less. It might be like 7 jumps or something. But still, 7 jumps is still a considerable time investment, particularly when it's a sightseeing tour, because you have to take the person there, and then you have to bring him back. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? This is going to take forever. But it was a good learning experience at the end of the day, right? So I'm just taking this person over through space. And by the way, the gameplay that you're watching is most likely not going to be immediately related to what I'm talking about, because just like this is something that has already happened. I just wanted to kind of share the story with you guys, because I mean, ultimately, Elite Dangerous doesn't necessarily have a story, so you essentially make your own stories, and I've been making quite a few of them, and this is exactly what I wanted to share with you guys. So it's like, so then eventually I finished that mission. I was like, okay, that was kind of cool. Then I messed around with the fighter and stuff, and started to tweak my ship to become better at combat. I've also learned that building cannons into what is considerably a light ship, if you're looking at, I mean, it's not the lightest of ships, the keelback, but it is, in the grand scheme of things, it is not a big freighter ship. You know, it's just like, it's going to be able to take some haul with it, but it's not, you know, the biggest thing you can possibly have. And so having cannons on a ship that size is not necessarily the best way to go about things, because cannons have a long travel distance. So I started out with just burst lasers and cannons, because I'm like, I want something that just packs a punch. And it is very satisfying when you land those cannon hits, but it is also really, really frustrating when you miss, which is why if there's combat in the footage you're watching, I switched back to multi-cannons. It's just a little bit easier for me to do engagements. Cannons are, if you're going after really big ships, then cannons are great, because it's a big-ass target. It's going to deal tons of damage. But at the rank that I'm playing, and at the zones that I'm engaging in and all that stuff, most of the ships that I'm fighting are usually pretty small. They're not huge. I mean, not super small. What I'm saying is that I'm not attacking the big boys, right? So having cannons was something that maybe I shouldn't have had. But I played with the cannons around for a bit, and I have to say, it is so satisfying when you land a shot with the cannon. It's like, it just feels so good. It's like, boom, yeah, take that shot. So that's been good stuff. Also, I've been messing around with shields, and eventually I realized I wanted to have this thing that there's an accessory that is called shield cell something. But basically, this is like a consumable that you can use to further regen your shields when you run out of shields. And it turns out that my power plant couldn't handle all the juice that I was trying to put on my ship. So I deployed that thing in the middle of a fight, and it's like, oh, there's not enough power. Oops, what's going on? Your things aren't working because there's been a power shortage. And that's when I started learning, okay, I got to be more careful about power and when I put these parts in here and all this other stuff. But yeah, that's been another interesting learning experience. So another thing that I've been doing is I've been showing Elite Dangerous to my friends, and that obviously has kind of generated its own interesting stories. So first, I tried teaching a friend of mine just like the basics of taking off in a station and moving around and stuff. And depending on how you have your flight control set up, I mean, there's obviously limitations to a PlayStation 4 DualShock 4, which, by the way, is making me so bad want to buy a flight stick with a HOTAS just for this game. Like, that's crazy. I don't think I remember once just going like, dude, I want to buy an accessory specifically for one game. I don't think that's been a thing. And if, hopefully, if Frontier eventually enables PlayStation VR in this game, that's it. That's it. It's like, just put me in the Matrix and I'm gone. Like, you won't hear from me for like weeks. I'll just be out in space in freaking PlayStation VR. Like, my wife will provide sustenance to me like intravenously or something so that I don't even have to leave my chair. But like, ultimately, as I was saying, there's limitations to how you can program a DualShock 4, so I programmed it to alternate controls when I press down on L3 so that I can have access to horizontal movement on the ship, which, again, I don't know what the technical flight term is, but basically it makes my ship strafe left and right. That's the control I'm talking about. So basically, if you press L3 on my DualShock 4, your right stick will then strafe left and right for the ship, which is very useful for doing landings and stuff like that. So I teach my friend how to do basic stuff, and then I'm like, okay, so now let's see you take off in the space station, just like take off and go out. And I was on the basic space station, the cube looking thing where there's the mail slot and you just like, you exit out. And we had a ship landed there, so he starts taking off, but in between his maneuvers somewhere, he must have pressed L3. So he switched to alternate flight controls, so the ship would strafe instead of what it usually does, which for me on the right stick, I actually use it to tilt the ship, or turn, whatever you want to say. And so, as he changed the controls, he was just like fumbling all over the space station. I'm like, what are you doing? He crashes into the space station. I start hearing the space station say, "Oh, you the loitering," or something like that. There's like stuff that happens when you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing in a space station. Loitering, you're gonna have to pay a fine. I'm like, dude, come on, get your shit together, maneuver this ship and get out. He managed to get the ship stuck somewhere, and it was just like bouncing around like a freaking pinball, and I was like, oh my god. And I'm looking at the ship damage, it's just like shields down, hull taking damage. My ship was at like 50%. I'm just like, give me that control. I take the controller away from him, and I'm just like trying to get the ship unstuck, but the ship is like really badly stuck inside that space station. But I was still able to like just stop engine, stop everything, and then like look around. Okay, I think I can go this way, and then I eventually got the ship out. That was crazy. Either way, another interesting thing. So I taught this friend of mine, I eventually taught him how to fly, and he was getting pretty good. He was getting pretty good at flying and going around through space and stuff. So I'm like, okay, so let's do a passenger mission. Because, like, you know, I had to repair my ship, and I had all these things, and I was like, now you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to do this mission for me. So I go in, and I pick a passenger, and it's a criminal mastermind. Again, It just seems like the port that I'm in, which, by the way, that's another cool thing. I'll tell you guys about the place that I call my home. But it's like we're taking another criminal mastermind with us. So we take off. He's able to exit the station just fine. Everything's going great. We're going through different systems. And this criminal mastermind is like, I would like you to procure 4 units of wine. And then I was like, oh, that's easy. We'll just stop along the way and we'll buy it somewhere else. Totally forgetting that the passenger that we were carrying was an elite criminal. So as we are navigating through different star systems, when we get to a star system and I notice there's an nav beacon, I'm like, okay, so there's probably space stations here. Maybe they'll sell wine. Let's check it out. So locate near a space station. Let's travel there. Let's go. So my friend, obviously, he's just learned how to fly. So he's not super fast at docking a ship in a space station. And I don't know if you guys know, and I don't know if this is an actual thing, but it seems to me that the longer it takes you to land a ship on a station, the more likely you are to be scanned. And this is something that I wasn't even thinking about because, again, you know, this is like the second criminal mastermind I'm transporting in my ship. So we're going to this space station for the purpose of buying 4 units of wine with a criminal mastermind for a fairly easy gig. It was like 80 light years away was the top one, which is like 4 or 5 jumps from me. And I'm just like, this is a fairly easy gig. It's going to net us like 2.6 million credits. This is great. It's a great deal. So we're going into this space because I'm greedy, because like the bonus of getting the wine was probably like 100,000 credits. Pittance. You didn't even have to do it. It's optional. But I was like, whatever, we'll do it. So we're going into this space station. And as we approach the space station, my friend's just like, you know, slowly doing the approach, very slowly getting ready to get to the mail slot, requesting permission for dock, permission to dock granted, and I'm like, yeah, we're doing good. Then suddenly, I see in the screen flashing in red letters, ship is being scanned, and I was like, oh. So what happens now? Is there? I was thinking to myself, maybe they'll give us a fine or something. I mean, I'm sure it won't be too bad. Oh no, but there's a criminal mastermind. It's like instant lethal force, and I was like, what? As he's getting ready to dock, all of a sudden, docking restrictions docking restrictions enforced or something, and then it's like lethal force engaged, and there's like a bunch of Federation ships headed towards us. I'm like, dude, what the hell is going on? They just evaporated my ship in less than nothing. So instead of us winning 2.6 million credits, we lost like 500,000 credits to rebuy my ship with all of the expensive accessories I had on it. We also lost a bunch of reputation because the dude got killed. And yeah, that was the story of the second time I transported a criminal mastermind. Here's a pro tip for all you Elite Dangerous newbies out there. If you're transporting a known criminal, take him to his destination and don't stop for anything. If he wants some wine, you tell him to go get his damn wine himself instead of stopping someplace to get wine, because that was just like, that's hilarious. Also, as I was showing my friend again, I was showing him like a couple of cargo scoop functions and stuff. He was like, oh, what's this unidentified signal thingy that's going on here? And we went there. And it was like emissions detected or something. It was one of those really basic ones where apparently a ship had exploded near there. So I go there and there's a bunch of debris in there. And I find an occupied escape pod. Now, I'm not an expert in these sort of things, but an occupied escape pod, to me it means there's a person in there. So I'm like, okay, let's scoop it up. I'm assuming the game's going to tell me to do something, but no. The game just handles this occupied escape pod as regular cargo. I was like, what? There's supposed to be a friggin' person in there. Nope, it's just regular cargo. So then I go back to my home because I was like changing my ship, which, by the way, having a home in Elite Dangerous is something that is somewhat important, because as you go out into space and do all kinds of different things, there is this there is this thing where if you buy multiple ships or if you have multiple parts that you have stored for your ship, it's not like there's a stash that is somehow magically spread throughout the world like you usually get in RPGs and games that I personally tend to play. There's no magic stash. So basically, if you have a ship at a specific space station, that's where your ship is. Now, you can have someone bring it over to another space station, but usually that will take time and credits. So basically, you'll want to have kind of like a main base where you'll want to stay. So I was looking for a main base where I wanted to stay, a place to hang my hat, because it's a big-ass galaxy at the end of the day, right? And as I'm looking over stuff, I find that there's a space station called the Khan Terminal. And I was like, well, I guess I found my home. And luckily enough, it is only like one jump away from another high-tech location where I can actually buy cool parts for my ships and stuff. So it's a very nice place. It's got a cool name, obviously. It's got a lot of I think it's actually a pirate controlled area. Like I think it's supposed to be some kind of pirate faction, because essentially they're called Black Sails 69 HQ or something, which is kind of weird. But either way, that's essentially where I ended up making my home base, and that's kind of like where all the forays of Rurikhan into outer space, that's where I go from. Eventually I end up always coming back to Khan Terminal to outfit my ship however I see fit. I have like tons of parts in there, so I can like outfit my ship for combat, outfit my ship for cargo missions, or outfit my ship for passenger stuff, which is what I've been doing recently because there's a lot of money in that. But anyway, so I go back home and we're taking this occupied escape pod with us, which somehow is not considered illegal cargo. It's like I just got this escape pod with a person on it, and then I go to the commodities market on Khan Terminal and I just sell it like it's nothing. That's pretty fucked up. I thought that was pretty fucked up. I just sold a fucking person. Like, this is some really messed up shit. But yeah, those have been some of the really fun things that I've been doing in Elite Dangerous. There's also the episode, which is not nearly as interesting as this stuff that I've been telling you, but like where I took a ship, I think like 60 jumps into the current community goal, and then I got there and the damn thing was on lockdown because apparently some disgruntled player bombed the space station and I couldn't do anything in there. And I was just like, wow, I was not aware that like all of the things that happen throughout the game, you know, for people that are playing online and people that are playing by themselves, because you're always connected to Frontier servers when you're playing Elite Dangerous. So I was not aware of the fact that everyone's actions influence everyone else's game. And the fact that a player is able to bomb a space station and that is going to affect my solo play experience, I thought, one, that's pretty cool that can happen, and two, fuck that particular guy because I just did 60 goddamn jumps into hyperspace and now I gotta do 60 more to go back to where I was because the current community goal isn't a goddamn equivalent of a space desert. There's nothing close by to do. Oh man, but it's been fun. It's been so much fun. I'm addicted. I'm addicted, you guys. And right now, if the gameplay that you've watched with the stories that I've told throughout this video seem even the least bit compelling, I have no problem recommending this game to you. As a matter of fact, like I said, most likely I am going to be buying a flight stick. There's currently one that is really flight sticks to me, it's always going to be really expensive regardless of what I end up purchasing, because it's essentially I'm buying something for one specific game. I'm not going to be using a flight stick on anything else. At least I don't think so. Potentially Ace Combat 7 when that comes out. I might use it for that. But other than that, I mean, I don't play War Thunder, and I have no intention of playing War Thunder. So I don't think I'll be using joystick and anything else. It would just be for this. So regardless of the price, it's always going to feel expensive. But currently there's one that's like $75 or something, which is the Flight Stick HOTAS Thrustmaster, whatever, specifically developed for PlayStation 4. But what I was thinking was buying the model before that, because that's like cheaper. That's like $50 or something. And I'd like to get feedback, because I'm sure that some of the Elite Dangerous guys are going to be watching this video. I'd like to get feedback on that, specifically flight sticks for the PlayStation 4. If any of you guys are using them, I'd like to get feedback on that so that I know what I should be getting. Because again, I've never bought a flight stick like for real, so I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. But like, I thought I'd get the T-Flight HOTAS X or whatever it is, which is basically the version that came before the PlayStation 4 specific one. And I'm hoping that will be compatible with the PlayStation 4, because I just wanted to play Elite Dangerous. Because like playing this with a controller, it's fine, but like I really want to play this with a joystick. So yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit it up with a like. Helps out a lot. If you're new here, subscribe so that you're always notified when my next video goes live. And I will see you guys in the next one.